Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Connecting Solutions. And Annie Barr is here. Hi, Annie.
Hi.
My dear friend. And Annie and I are very delighted to welcome Mark, Bowler Hat Farmer. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Very well, ladies. Thank you very much indeed for having me on the show.
And thank you, Mark, for everything that you do. And I guess we'll just kick it off. If you just want to give a brief background about yourself, and I guess how can ordinary people in Britain and Ireland support you and support the farmers?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's go from the basic bottom. So over 40 years in the food industry and realised that things are definitely not heading in the right direction. And yes, if for those who know about the 2030 agenda, that's definitely a big part of this. But the screws are starting to tighten on that. And last year I had my uncle die whose farm we were living on, so I made a decision to go tour the country. And we did Land's End to John O'Groats, spoke in front of 20,000 people, over 100 speeches, and travelling the country to look at where the food industry really was on the ground and to have a really good look at how we could potentially put something positive together, what would change the outcome of said agenda. So we set off and had 8 months on the road, nearly, and visited butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, farmers, greengrocers, fishmongers, you name it, we went there. But while we were away, we also started putting together a website called foodfindershub.org. And that's been a great resource for us traveling around the country, and it now has over 1,000 different people advertising on there. So these are people that are now getting into a lot of them into growing how I think food should be grown, chemically free especially. So yeah, that's the starting point of where we are.
No, that's great. And I looked at your website, which is really impressive. And you have opportunities for people to volunteer as well, to join and learn and volunteer. How can people get involved and support you? How does it work?
Yeah, so what we're doing at present, we're working with all the small community farms across the country. We're starting to build a database of all of those people that are running food hubs, farmers that need assistance with deliveries, whatever it might be. So people can go onto the site, volunteer their time to either get involved in a farm, do deliveries, work with a radio station, which we're launching. There's a whole host of things, even litter picking, because none of us like that either. And the big thing with all of this is it's now time. We've all done the whining. It's now time about focusing on solutions and now getting the masses involved in the solutions. So for me, via the foodfindershub.org, people can go there to sign up to be a volunteer anywhere in the country, and they can also make a donation there of £1 a month, which is what keeps things spinning. So yeah.
Excellent. So, regarding your concerns of sort of present day issues, Mark, could you maybe expand on that a little bit? You've obviously talked about some of it, but we're and Dolores and I particularly are doers. We've heard the talking. People talk all the time, but we're doers. So, for example, I run a health hub, and there's 3 of them, and one in Hampshire, one in Newcastle, one in Scotland, and so I decided to do something about it 4 years ago and just get it into action. And so, kind of looking at your situation and where you're at, what do you think that are the concerns of today?
Okay, I think there's 2 sides. So quickly cover the concerns. Concerns are when farmers are being paid not to produce food, that is going to cause an issue. And when I was a child, and as I got to teenage years and started understanding about the 2030 agenda, I didn't think they'd ever convince farmers not to grow food because it's what we love to do. However, then you start to realise when they start paying people not to grow food, that's where the issue is. Plus, they've almost bankrupted every farmer in the country because the prices not being worth what they should be. So the whole host of things is getting the farming industry to collapse in on itself. So I would say if anybody wants to, at this point, and they haven't signed up as a volunteer, if anybody wants to do some really simple things to help British farming. One, do not use a supermarket to buy your food. Simple as. If you are going to go to a supermarket, make sure that food is actually British, and then you know it's supporting a farmer. We've got to start taking our money away from the system, and that is crucial. Every pound we take away is £2. It's £1 to us and £1 they haven't got, so it's a £2 difference. And this is now, as I said earlier, the time for everyone to come together and start uniting on different projects like health hubs, like food hubs, and let's get in the people on the ground mobilised to now go and do some good.
No, that's great. And, you know, this is exactly what we're trying to do, Mark. So I suppose, and we're also meeting, all of us are meeting again at the 3rd annual Weekend Truth Festival in July, and we'll have the details. And we just had a call with the main organizer, Nick, who's a very dear friend, and I'm going to be there, and Annie is speaking. And I think the theme for her this year is sovereignty, which is amazing. But just, I guess, and it's something that I'm also want to work on in the years to come, and I just would like your feedback, is I think we need to help individuals and families listening to this, I think, to hold their hands for how they can actually make the change from maybe buying £10 on British food a week to, you know, moving towards trying to get 50%. So any guidance you can get or any help about how people can practically start this month to engage with you or to make the change that we want to see?
Well, one of the biggest things, Dolores, that most people say is, I can't find anywhere locally to buy British food from. So what I would suggest is there's two things here. One is, if people go to foodfindershub.org, just type via their local area, their town or postcode, it'll bring up anything what's close to them. Start there, because they are actual farmers growing actual British food and want to sell it to you, the consumer. They don't want to sell to a supermarket. Now, what I will say is there's also other companies out there what are doing a great job, like the Good Food Project, for instance, or Organity, which are another great company. And so as well as we've got the farmers, we've also got the people like Organity and Good Food Project that are setting up supermarkets. So people can actually say, do you know what? I'm not going to there. I'm not going to go inside that building and spend my money on that poison. So, and I think one of the problems we had in the past was there wasn't the opportunities to really step away 5 years ago. But now things like the Good Food Project and Organic, people like that are getting set up. There is an opportunity there now for people really to make a difference. And like you said earlier, if we can get people from spending £10 a week on British food to, you know, 20, 30, 40 pound a week on British food, what a difference that would make to the farmers. And what I will say, the other side is definitely for people to look at the PFFA, the People's Food and Farming Alliance, because they're all about encouraging people to grow at home. And again, another thing which we all need to start looking at this year. You know, our growing season starts in the next 8 weeks. It's this year the food problem's going to happen. Cannot emphasize that enough.
No, I agree with you. And just so you know, and hopefully we want to extend your kind of initiatives to Ireland as well, where I am. And that, just to go back to the Weekend Truth Festival that Nick and we're all supporting, and you'll be there in the middle of July 2026. And hopefully we'll have another event connecting enterprise networks in the autumn, and then Nick will have another event, Weekend Truth Festival 2027. But just would you expand a little bit that this year at the Weekend Truth Festival in July, you're going to also have practical engagement for people for how to grow food and get seeds?
Yeah, very much so. So just give people an idea. The Truth Festival is obviously what it is. It's a festival about the truth about what's going on. This year I said to Nick, what about doing something to do with food and farming? So I've spoken to people all over the country in the last 24 hours since Nick finally got the go ahead, and speaking to people from the guys from electroculture, composting companies, seed companies, food companies, all to be there and Brilliant. Talk directly to the public, because if we're going to start producing food, it needs to be en masse this year. So I think what's going to come out of this, the Truth Festival this year for me is, yes, it'll be great that the likes of you and I are there, but I think it'll be great for the public to have other people there that they can engage with and do practical things with as well, because the guys from the electroculture, I know they'll bring seeds and pots and trays, and they'll be at a compost and company and that, and they'll all work together to give people an idea of how to do things, because a lot of people obviously are completely new to this. And I won't say clueless, but they are new to this. And people think growing food's rocket science, and it genuinely isn't. It's nature does it on its own. A seed falls off a tree, hits the ground and grows. You know, it's not rocket science. We just need to believe in ourselves a little bit more.
And maybe, Mark, just as well, now, this is something that we're working on because we want to have like a practical network, we'll say in the autumn, and then go back and support next one next year. But just to sow a seed, wouldn't it be lovely if we could get like individual people to be nodes when they will say the 400 or 500 people at the Truth Festival go back across Britain and Ireland, that we could potentially be a seed distribution service or a node for your network of farmers, so that when people, because I know Nick is going to be recording everything again like she's done every year, but wouldn't it be lovely, even if we don't get it all done this year, that we think about that in the autumn and for next year?
Yeah, Dolores, is interesting because this last year, since we obviously did the tour, we took the whole year to do the tour, things have moved massively, in my opinion. When I first started talking a couple of years ago, I was one of the only farmers, apart from Gareth Swyn-Jones, who's actually out there speaking. Now there is hundreds out there speaking the truth about what's going on. Farmers have woken up massively in the last year, I have to say. We know that every time we put a video out, the comments we get, who's reacting to it, we know we're heading the right way on this. Now, what I will say is we have a long way to go. However, we made massive progress this year. And I think you'll agree, there's a lot more people are waking up to what's going on. And, you know, I'm just the delivery boy as far as I'm concerned. I come out, tell people, and if people like it, they'll get involved. What I will say is that in just a few months, the Food Finders Hub, we have the volunteer section on there. We've had over 900 people volunteer. Wow. And that to me says that the time is now. So that's why we're saying to people that so the Food Hub and the new radio station, which we're launching. So we're launching foodforthoughtradio.com, and that is a truth radio station. And people like yourself can come on and either be a guest or host the show, I will say.
I would love to host the show, Mark.
Well, we'd be delighted with that, Dolores. I have to say, absolutely delighted. And what we're going to do is get the volunteers, obviously driving the volume of the traffic for this, because it's really hard on social media. You know, I got banned before Christmas again because of something I'd allegedly said what was wrong. We need to be in control of a platform what we can control. So this is why we launched the radio station and the Food Finders Hub, because they can't turn it off. All the farmers on social media, they can click a button and turn it off. So what we've got to do is build a system so robust, so correct that it can't be stopped. And that's the important thing in this, that we have control of it.
Excellent, yeah. Mark, how can other people help you? You know, you've talked about maybe people going onto the foodfinders.org and finding out, you know, finding volunteer, etc. And maybe you could explain a little bit about how that works. So, for example, you know, they log on and they put themselves down as a volunteer. What happens next?
Yeah. So at this point, I'm personally looking for someone to assist me, because obviously you can imagine trying to get through hundreds of volunteer applications is a job on its own. So I'm now looking for someone to work alongside me on that. So we've got a database right across the country of all the small independent growers that we know of. And if someone says, oh, I want to be involved in farming, then we try and find them a local community project near them. If it's litter picking, we say simply grab some gloves and go clear your local area up. It's as simple as that. You don't need no rocket science involved. Some people want to be involved in the radio station. Radio station, that could be with helping in the background to run the station, or hosting a show, or volunteering to come on a show and talk about what it is you know about. Because lots of people obviously know all different things. I'm, you know, whilst I know about my own health, I don't know anything else about health. So, you know, to get people like yourself on there and talk through what you're doing and how you're delivering this, those kind of things. So we've also just set up a new thing called the keyboard warriors. So lots of people are quite angry at the moment, obviously, about what's going on. So the keyboard warriors, what we've done is we've got 7 on there so far in the last week since we launched it. And the idea is that as each opportunity comes up, like classic example, last year when Arla decided they were going to launch Bovair and we wanted to attack the system as much as possible, there wasn't an army to do it. And we had to get social media, and they were trying to stop us posting on social media to say, contact Arla. Right, okay, let's have our own army of people that sit there and we feed them with who to contact, when to contact, what to contact them about. Whether that's MPs, councillors, council officials, schools, whoever it is we need to put the pressure on to get them to change things. Let's have a bank of people built up in the background that can deal with that.
Brilliant.
So we're looking at this from all angles. And I think what we're having to understand now is we do have the numbers of people that are now awake. We have a basic infrastructure through the CIC we've set up to be able to collect funds and be able to pay for things. We've got the food side covered. We've got the media side covered. We've been looking at the possibility of adding, because for me, food and health go hand in hand.
Yes.
They're the same thing.
Yes.
So we're now looking at launching a section on the Food Finders Hub for people involved in alternative health and health hubs, things like that, because we can see there's a demand for that. And we didn't want to do a whole new platform and then be building something twice. It was like, no, we can do this in one, and then people can go there and find exactly what they're looking for.
Yes, because health and food and nutrition are so connected, and what you eat is what you become in your health, and I think we all know that, but there's some who still go after these convenience meals, etc. And it's changing the mindset. And I've found that, trying to change people's mindsets about things. So our health hubs are not quite really they look like a normal health centre. It's like that, it looks like it is a normal health centre. And so we take bloods and we do heavy metal analysis,
Right.
and we do MOTs, a check,
Yes.
a health check, MOT, so that people can just have one once a year or whatever. And then we look at trying to fix their health issues, and sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. We do vitamins and we do our own range of products. So one of the things that we do is our own range of products in relation to natural products. I don't
Yes.
prescribe anything very much at all. I try to stay off prescribing and try and look at it naturally and holistically. So some of that would feed into some of the things that we need to do, as well as the food obviously is get people to learn about their own health, but also look at herbs, look at how to use herbs and how to use them well, and how they can use them in food and cooking, and and they can take them as a supplement themselves.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a fortune on supplements. They can have their own supplements in the garden, and it's so connected, and I think one without the other, they go hand in hand, really, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think it's great that because I have no experience whatsoever as in farming or food or anything like that. It's just a foreign language to me. I just eat it.
But we all bring something different to the table, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We absolutely do, and we need each other. And this is a great, vehicle for us all to sort of, work together. And that's one of the things Dolores and I really want to do, is to create something that, say, for example, if I can't help somebody, I refer them on to somebody who can. If they can't help somebody, they refer to me. And we've all got our own specialties and things that we're doing, and that we're good at, and that we've been doing, and I've been doing it for 40 years. But same as you, and so it's really important that we all support each other. And this event that we're having it'd be good to have you, actually, wouldn't it, Dolores? At the event in September, we're looking at. We haven't finalised anything yet, but we're looking at, and it's more enterprise, because I have got several businesses, and I'm I suppose a serial entrepreneur, really, and And I do enjoy that, and Dolores has got a massive background in business as well as everything else she does. So it's just a platform, and we're calling it a symposium. So it's a symposium. It's going to be a smaller event, isn't it, Dolores? It's going to be smaller.
Part of the thing might be, thank you, Annie, for that, is that, say, Mark, if your vision was there should be more farmers like you, but you might want to organize a day for you to invite maybe 12 farmers that you'd like to expand your practical business and throughout Britain and Ireland, maybe, that what we're kind of seeing at our symposium is they'd have themes like how, if you wanted to volunteer in a health hub, or if you wanted to work, and if you were a nurse and you got fired in 2020, or you're someone who wants to learn how to farm, would be the practical side of how Mark would grow your business, or how Annie would. And because in a way, we might have maybe 10% of the populations in our country aware, but we actually don't have the solutions. We don't have the food markets and the health hubs everywhere. So in the network that Annie and I are trying to build is really every town in the next 2 or 3 years should have a food market and a detox health hub through food, and where can you buy the herbs and everything. So it's more, we're not saying we have the solutions, but we just want to provide a network of trusted people to help you grow, or any grow. That's the kind of, that we help each other.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%. I mean, one of the things, now we've got the food hub sorted, and I say we can add on to that the health hubs. Now we've got the radio station, we can start pushing forward with a message, because I think what we can all agree on is that there is a message. I don't know yet what that message is, but work with me here. We all know there is a message what needs relaying to the public, and the radio station launches on Monday. We launch our initial out on Monday, and then by April 1st, we'll have 24 hours a day live radio stations going out. So what that will give us is the opportunity to bring a clear, defined message to the people, and offering the things like, right, if you want to volunteer, because just because it's a food and health hub doesn't mean that we can't ask people, do they want to get involved in, going around to make sure the next door neighbour's okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what we need
home education,
it's a massive one, massive. So the CIC is set up to do education, to do food and health. And then I had to change the wording and go, but we really need to include new media, because we have to bring, and this is where I class new media of bringing people like yourself and I, Dolores, hundreds of us onto one platform where we can all have that voice, what cannot be taken away no matter what. And this is where we start to build the system of the future. And that's where, and I can't going to tap in on this, because I will say we've put a donation section on the foodfindershub.org, and that allows people to donate whatever they want when they want. But what we're asking people to do is to donate £1 every month. That's it. Because that's the same as me rocking up at your house and having a cup of tea by the time you flick the kettle on and boiled the tea and the sugar. And if we can get enough people paying in £1 a month, we know on what we're already achieving, we know we're making a difference. Now let's multiply it up and up and up, and then we can do some really cracking work.
Wonderful, wonderful.
On another note, Dolores, one thing I will quickly say. The Food Finders Hub, that's all available to Ireland and the rest of the world. Any farmer worldwide can list themselves on there.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful, Mark. I wanted to do that because, you know what, partly why I'm very honoured to be working in England, Scotland and Wales is that I think there's more pain in the farmers where you are than over where I am.
At the moment.
Also, I think sometimes farmers, rightly, I always thought farmers should hear the solutions from other farmers, so that hopefully in the future we'll either have you over in Ireland or we'll bring Irish farmers over, because once they see it working, I think it's easier to convince them. What do you think, Annie?
I do. I think it's excellent. I think it's an excellent idea. And I really don't know much about farming in the UK. I've seen it being hit by, what it's been hit by, especially the last 2 or 3 years. But I think, we need to work together. And, the idea of whatever franchising or, just multiplying this worldwide is fantastic. It's a great idea. We need to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's make it happen, guys. It's
Yeah,
as
we're
simple
going
as
to make
that.
it. We will make it happen. We are make it happen, people. And we're all Rottweilers, you know, and we're going to make this happen. It's not going to not happen for sure. You do, definitely.
Good.
That's great. That's great. So maybe, Mark, if you wouldn't mind, just in the last question from Annie and myself, is if you want to tell people how to find you, the websites, and how to anything that you want, so that, and also I know you're going to be at the Weekend Truth Festival with Nick and with us in July as well. So just to wrap it up with you and tell people how they can find you and support you.
And tell
Okay.
us about your radio station as well. You know, the
Yeah.
radio station on Monday.
So radio station launching Monday is FFT, Food for Thoughts, fftradio.com. fftradio.com. Foodfindershub.org for the food side, and they'll obviously have links in between them. And, you know, please, if you're involved in food, farming, health, anything at all, get yourself registered on there to either as a business or as a volunteer. You can work in your own area doing what you're doing now, but what we want to do is we want to really prove there is a movement out there happening, because that lots of people are sitting on the fence going, oh, I don't know if I should help and join. Yes, help and join. Let's make a difference. We can only do this together.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming on.
Pleasure,
and
ladies.
We're 100% behind you, and we'll obviously be supporting you in July. So thank you very much. And Annie, do you want to say a quick goodbye and just mention your websites as well?
So it's goodbye from me. Yeah, my website is abhealthhub.com. And I'll certainly join, Mark. I'll be joining as soon as we're finished. I'll be on there.
Brilliant. All right. So
Brilliant.
thank you very much, Mark. And thank you for everyone for watching us at Connecting Solutions. And hopefully we'll see you at the Weekend Truth Festival events and at our own events later on in 2026. Bye-bye from us all.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.